Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching this. Welcome to this first LinkedIn Live session. My name is Jorge de la Cruz, and I will be your host today. What are we going to learn today? It's a couple of good stuff. And I have a few slides, but not many, because these sessions that I'm planning to do with you guys, it's nothing to be dead by PowerPoint or slide, and that's it. Which those sessions are always important and good for different audiences, but I'm trying to target more the technical audience. So those technical audience probably doesn't like slides that much, depending on what is on the slides, right? So without any further ado, let's go over here. And I think that you can see the screen right now. So if I go and put full screen on this, you should see the presentation. So that is good. What are we going to learn during these 30 minutes, 35, maybe less, if everything goes as planned, or maybe more if we hit some troubles down the road. We are here to look for the perfect dashboard. I've been looking for it myself a lot of years. I think it's maybe my 6th, maybe 7th year already trying to look for the perfect dashboard. A dashboard that it gives me enough information around different platforms. So today we're going just to see the basics, but moving forward, we're going to see how we can dashboard a VMware environment, Vim environment, NetApps, AWS, a lot of things with Grafana. So this is the whole series about. It's just about is about looking for the perfect dashboard. This first part, and I appreciate once again that you came here today, that you joined me during this session, and more important, that even with all these problems, you are still here. So we're going to see a quick overview on how to install InfluxDB, Telegraph, and Grafana. So let's move to the next slide. What we will learn today, you see over there, monitoring 101. I'm just going to cover a few basics about what we will touch on the next sessions as well as even today. We are going to just quick overview about what is InfluxDB, what is Telegraph, what is Grafana, an open source stack that I really like. I really appreciate. And then finally, we're going to jump into the lab and do real live demo on how to install the Telegraph, InfluxDB, and Grafana stack, which is usually tricky, and I haven't seen much in LinkedIn live sessions going this deep. So let's try our best. The problems that I've solved by choosing time series database is, I put here 6, probably I've solved more. The first one is just having tons and tons of data points when you're trying to monitor, for example, VMware. That is a lot of metrics which you cannot save on Microsoft SQL, for example, or in another database that is not prepared to save this time series if you want granularity of every 20 seconds or 15 seconds. Not even VMware can do that. They do something super clever that they just keep this every 20 seconds for maximum of an hour, and then everything else over that hour, it just goes archiving to maybe like a PostgreSQL. But once again, they cannot keep that every 20 seconds or every 15 seconds or 5 seconds granularity for a long time. Nobody can. But a time series database can exactly do that. So for that reason, I choose a time series, in this case InfluxDB. Second time, it was about saving me time. I didn't want complex products, either commercial, open source, or whatever. I didn't want to spend a lot of time searching for plugins that they are outdated, that I needed to do myself, Python scripts or all that stuff. I just wanted something that it was pretty much ready to go. And yeah, InfluxDB plus Telegraph, it's really all this, all the agents and all the stuff is there. So that was good. The third one, it was about something like the learning curve is fine, but not that steep that you cannot even climb it. So yeah, I wanted something that was good documented, that it was up to date in terms of documentation, and at the end I wanted something, once again, that it was easy to use. I didn't want complexity in my life, in something that that even if it's good for me, for my lab and everything, that I'm not, I wasn't going to put many hours a day. So I just wanted something like that. Fourth thing that I solve, of course, is that growing. I start with a small Raspberry Pi. I even have a blog about it, how to use a Raspberry Pi 4 with all of this thick stack install, which is good. I like it. But of course, if you want something more professional and something prepared to grow, this time series is always ready to grow, even on-prem, or you can just go and start using one of these technologies in the cloud, like InfluxDB Cloud, or if you look at the Grafana, then now Grafana, you can just get it through AWS as well. So I just wanted that. The fifth thing, it was about ready to use and easy to consume dashboards. So I've created a lot of them. So I really enjoy creating all of these dashboards. But I just wanted a technology that it had already a lot of examples and that it was easy to produce beautiful dashboards and useful dashboards. So Grafana was one of these, the best one that they include this technology. And finally, open source. Well, because why not? Everything that I wanted to do on my free time around this, I wanted to give it back to the community wherever possible. I wanted to contribute on Slack, on GitHub, and so on. So I just wanted all of these 6 things, and I solved them by choosing time series. So let's move forward. Monitoring 101. What is time series? Once again, super quick. Time series, of course, on the left, we have the classical relational databases, right? With name, age, nickname, employee, checkbox, etc., which is okay to store up to some granularity, some level of data. But if you want every second information of thousands of VMs or systems, and you want to keep that for a long time, then that becomes huge and later on difficult to query all of that. So in this case, time series, it solves that problem, because per every timestamp you can have all the tags that you need and the values that you need and so on. So the data is aggregated over time. Quick overview. A quick overview on the ingest rate of PostgreSQL versus time scale, for example. So you can see there the data set in millions of rows, and then the insert rate as well. So you can see that as if the PostgreSQL or MariaDB or any other normal database starts to grow a lot, then requiring data or writing data, it becomes a bit of a problem. So yeah. Now, let's talk about this old friend of us, which is SNMP. SNMP, which is the acronym of Simple Network Management Protocol, and all of you that you've been used SNMP before, you can probably relate, like, who really named this simple? I mean, what somebody was thinking when they say Simple Network Management Protocol. It's the opposite of simple. It's really difficult to understand. It might be simple to enable, but that's not as secure as it should be. But then understanding all the MIPS and all the OIDs and so on, and find them sometimes can be really tricky. So let's talk about the MIP dissections, right? The MIP is just kind of a map for what SNMP is exposing. So for example, we will always have the root, ISO, identified organization, DoD, internet management system, and blah blah blah. So this will translate into an OD, which is usually like 1.3.6.1.2.1, and then finally whatever you have there, like CPU, RAM, and so on. And those values, they can be normal values, they can be tables, they can be strings. It's really, really, really tricky. So once again, it's something that is really, really old, SNMP. And for some use cases, it might be the last resource that you can use, but not that easy to use anyways. So if you want to do, for example, as an SNMP walk, this is an SNMP walk of my VMware, my VCCA, my vCenter, and yeah, you can see that it gives me here the name, it gives me the version, which is really old, gives me it gives you everything here, but you can see that it's really, really tricky. So if you want one value, okay, if you want the sysname, that will be easy to get over SNMP. But if you want something that you're not sure or you don't have on the MIP, it might be super, super tricky to get it later on. So once again, this is just on 101, super, super fast in, I don't know what, 2-3 minutes about what is monitoring and the difference between SNMP and other things. So now, simple diagram, and I wanted to put that in bold, in black, because it's really, really simple what we will learn today. So we have, well, today and during the next sessions, if LinkedIn doesn't leave me bad again, like it happened. So we have InfluxDB over here, which is the database that we mentioned before, which is super fast, time series, and it's absolutely amazing. That's InfluxDB. Then we have Telegraph. Telegraph, it's just an agent that we can install on different places. We can install on one place that it retrieves data from another places, or we can just install the agent on the different machines that we want to monitor. For example, imagine you have a lot of Linux systems across the network in the cloud, so you should put Telegraph agent, the Telegraph across those systems. But if you want to retrieve some logs, or you want to retrieve some MySQL or some data from some SQL, you do not need to put the agent on those systems by themselves. You can just have the agent on another place, and that agent connects. So anyways, the Telegraph agent, it will you just need to enable to comment the plugins that you want to enable. So you uncomment them, and then you can just retrieve CPU information, RAM consumption, load, net, if it's a Linux, Nginx, the states of the Nginx, MariaDB. They have so many, is it 200 or something plugins already ready to use, to consume? VMware is one of them. There's so many logs, there's so many, and all of them is just at your fingertips. So that agent pushes data into InfluxDB. That InfluxDB you just save here every a few seconds or whatever you need. And then finally we have Grafana, which is that dashboarding system, which it will show all the data that we have into InfluxDB. It will do the queries itself that into InfluxDB, and it will show that data. It will show the data as beautiful as you want and as creative as you are. So you can just put like pie charts, you can just put the normal tables, you can just do the time series panel. There's so many different ways of showing the data. So this is how it works, everything that I'm going to show you today and during the next couple of sessions. Hopefully it's easy to understand. Telegraph, InfluxDB, and Grafana. So I usually call it tick stack. I think other people call it the same, like tick stack. So that's good. That's good. So demo time. I think it wasn't that bad for a few slides, right? So sorry if there were too many slides, or if I spoke probably too fast and maybe too many things in a short time, but of course we are in LinkedIn Live and we do not have here 6 or 8 hours. Probably the faster the better. So let's go there. And if you have something that you like, probably put it on the comments. I'm not following the comments that much. I can see them now here. So just put it on the comments, because I have them here on the mobile. So just, if you have any doubt, let me know. Couple of questions before I join into the demo. So I can hear you and see you as well from Prabat. Thank you so much. Osir, TickStack or Prometheus stack best for infrastructure monitoring than cloud. TickStack and Prometheus, they are really similar. They do something super similar, which is extract data and store the data. on this series. For now, I'm going to focus on Dig Stack. Probably in the future I will do something around Prometheus. I do not have any preference of one over the other. It's just that I've been using the Dig Stack for a long time, so probably I'm just a bit biased and I prefer that for now, because Prometheus is a bit of an unknown for me, but always up for a challenge. So let me see what else. Can we install Telegraph on a separate machine? Yes, you can and should install Telegraph on different machines, on different kind of endpoints if you want to monitor those endpoints. Again, depending of the plugin. If you want a plugin for SQL or PostgreSQL or something like that, Apache, you do not need the Telegraph on that machine itself. You can just have it on another and query those kind of services. But anyways, I usually find it easier. Yes, if it's an Apache, I just put the Telegraph on that Apache. I query kind of the local IP address, and then all that data I just push from that Telegraph into InfluxDB. So let's go into demo time and let's see how it goes. So I have all my commands that I will run over here today on kind of on a notepad. I wrote them recently on jorgedelacruz.uk, so you can find the step-by-step over there if you don't want to follow this video session today. But anyways, I'll just go here and show you. So hopefully you can see my secure CRT, which I think you are seeing it at the moment. What I've done at the moment, I just have one VM already. So what I've done today before the session, it was nothing special. I just cloned the template from VMware. I had that ready, and I applied the updates and patches, so the usual stuff. What I've done as well, I tried to do an if config, but because Ubuntu 20.04 is that limited and that small footprint, it didn't have the NetTools, so I installed the NetTools, and finally I can see the IP. So that is everything I've done for now. Just give it a host name, an IP, and it's a vanilla installation of Ubuntu 20.04. So what we're going to do right now, it's once again, I'm going to follow the steps. First is to install InfluxDB. To install InfluxDB, I always recommend to do it from the packages, from the repositories, so that it installs and keeps the package up to date. I never kind of go to the website and download the .deb or the .rpm or anything, because then when you want to do any update of that, you just need to grab a new file, and it's such a big problem. So what I do, it's this next thing. So let me go over here, and what I do is I go over here and I do this. Let me see, because that might not be okay. So if I put this command over here, that was okay. And then I do this, okay. And then what I do is just I do an update of the packages, because now I added the InfluxDB repository. This repository from InfluxDB, of course, it's going to give me access to the InfluxDB packages, and it's going to give me access to Telegraph, and of course the whole stack that they have, Chronograph and so much other products. But just Telegraph and InfluxDB, to me, it's okay. Now I'm going to do an installation of InfluxDB. Okay, it's downloading 174 megabytes of data, or that's going to be my size on disk. Okay, and now I'm going to start the service. So okay, that's okay. Now let's check if the service is up and running, and is up and running, which is good news for now, right? So I'm going to stop for a minute and check if you have any questions. You're saying that the font size is very small. Maybe making it full screen on your side, it will be better. If you're watching it from the mobile, yes, this might be small today. So I tried to make it bigger before. I think it's even bigger than the usual, but yeah. Okay, let's see. Now we're going to create an user and password for this InfluxDB. So I am going to do this next command. So create user, I'm just going to select here, what should I do, like Telegraph, let's call it LinkedIn. because why not? And then with password, I'm going to call this LinkedIn 2021. What do you think? That's good, isn't it? So now I'm going to copy this, and once again, all this step by step, you have it in jorgedelacruz.uk. I just updated post that blog post a few days ago, probably last Friday. So go there and check if you want to follow this step by step. Today is just more kind of like a do it live, do it together, see if we find some problem that we can debug together, which I don't think. So you can see is curl. I'm just creating a user over curl. So I'm doing 8086 with the create user LinkedIn with the password LinkedIn 2021 with all privileges. Let's see. And it gives me this, which is that it's okay. Now we are going to install now Telegraph. So on this machine, I'm installing Telegraph because I want one VM with everything. If I didn't need to monitor anything on this server, probably I will not need Telegraph on this. But because I want all in one, then I'm going to install Telegraph on here, which is sudo apt-get install Telegraph. I mean, nothing from the other world. It's quite easy, isn't it? Let's check over here. Not more questions. So now let's check into this into the service, and then we started and we check how it's doing. So okay, it's running. For now, it does not have any configuration at all, so it might not be doing anything. Well, 100% is not doing anything. So okay. Now, what I tend to recommend is do not do anything with the telegraph.conf. I always recommend to create everything on the telegraph.d and then you add the configurations over there. So for example, what I usually do, and this is a personal preference for me, is I go over here and then I go v etc telegraph.conf, and then on this telegraph.conf I go into, let me go over here. Let me go into the outputs, blah, 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 blah. And then all the outputs on this specific config, I do not do anything. So if I go there and then I just say, I just comment the outputs in FluxDB, I do not want anything on this .conf. It's just completely, probably just for the Telegraph itself. So the agent, if you want login, and the host name, if you want the host name as well. So you can just always put it, but if not, it will just use the default host name, so that's okay. But I usually just enable login here, and that's it. That's all. So I go from here, and what I do is just I go here, and then on the telegraph.d on the directory, I do create my different configurations, which you will see in the future on future sessions: VMware, Veeam, Apache, Nginx, and for the purpose of the demo, let's now create the first one, which is the the InfluxDB, right? I call it influx.conf. Okay, and now what I need to put, I have it here, but it is quite simple. So what I'm going to do for you is, you see, outputs InfluxDB, and then here is my FQDN. Remember that I have it on here, that was the IP, the database Telegraph, that's okay, and then my username, it's LinkedIn, and then my password, it's LinkedIn 2021. Was it? It was with uppercase? No, I don't remember right now. Let me go on here. I don't remember. No, it's with lowercase. So skip database creation false. Yeah, I'm going to put false, so it just creates the database Telegraph the first time that is going to start writing data. So that's okay. You can see that I just create a file, which is telegraph.d on the directory influx.conf. That's fine. Let's go on here. That's great. Now the other one that we want to create, for example, is the ping, which is super simple. You have another blog post around this. So if I go on here, and I have already kind of like an inputs ping to different things. So let me go on here. Is it going to work? So I'm going just to put a few of them. If I go on here, This might be okay, this might be okay, this might be fail, and I'm just going to put just a ping to my router, and that's it. Okay, so I'm going just to do this. The ping is one of the probably the first things that everyone does, right? So is it responding to ping? Yes. I know that now in 2021 it's more and more common to kind of block or deny the ICMP. So the ping sometimes it's not that useful anymore. Probably was a few years ago, like 5-10 years ago, but probably not anymore. Well, anyways, we have over here this, and now so we have two things on this telegraph directory, right? Telegraph.d. So we have the influx conf and the ping conf, which is good. So what we are going to do now is going to restart the service for telegraph. Okay, and now if you want to check one of those configurations, imagine that you do the VMware or you add the Vim or Apache, Nginx, whatever you add in the future, you can test it super simple with the next command, which I'm going to paste here and wait a few seconds. So for you to see, it's telegraph and then --config space and then the path to the conf file for telegraph. In this case, it's the ping, and then you can do the --" test, and it will give you the results of that. Let's try. Oh, so it gave me an error. Error loading config file, open ping, no such file. Oh, let me, is it maybe, sorry, it's not on the, okay, let's try that. And now with this one, hey, it gives me something. So it's giving me the result on a normal telegraph way of pushing data into InfluxDB, which is ping, and then it's the host, which is a tag, and then the URL, which is another tag. And now they are the values after the space. These are values, which is average response, maximum response, minimum, blah, 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 and finally the timestamp. So this way of writing data, it's the normal way and if you want to inject data into InfluxDB, this is the way. Into InfluxDB 1.x, I should mention, this is the way of injecting data. It's good, it's working. So what now, the telegraph is now enabled. Probably let's go and edit this into the telegraph. Sorry about that, some Chrome recommendations about that. I'm just so addicted into this law enforcement from the US, always something to learn. Into the telegraph.conf, you can always enable CPU, RAM, and so on. I think for now, ping, it's okay. So now we have InfluxDB, now we have telegraph as well, and then the final step is just adding our grafana, because we are as well kind of 30 minutes on the stream, right? Okay, so let's add this. Okay, I think this was added in the latest grafana as the HTTPS, before it wasn't required. But anyways, and then I'm just adding this. Again, I'm just copy and pasting the commands, which you can find jorgedelacruz.uk on the latest blog post anyways. Okay, so those were the requirements to install Grafana. So they were the transport HTTPS and software properties common, the wget. Now is the way of adding Grafana. So I'm going to add the repository. Once again, I don't want any manual.deb or something download. And now that that is okay, I'm just going on here and go on there, and I go on here. That's fine. Of course, it will never work if I don't do the update of the repository. So you add the repositories, and then after that, you need to, of course, do the update. And now you can, of course, do the installation of Grafana. So adding the packages and doing the update, and now finally installing it. So what else is on here? Let's start the service. Okay, let's check if the service is up. We are about to finish, let's say. Okay, now this is active and running. So we have InfluxDB, we have Telegraph properly configured to send data into InfluxDB, and now we have our Grafana installed, which is ready to add the data source. So let's go into that. So if I go on here and then I go into my IP over the port 3000, see, hey, it's here. And then if I go here, is it admin? I don't want to change the password just yet. So I'm here into my Grafana server, which is good. It's good news, isn't it? I'm going to stop for a minute and take a look at your questions. So we need to install on a separate machine, or we can also install on the monitor. That's the one before. Does it depend on what we monitor? Okay, yeah, we depend on what we monitor. So now, first things first on this new Grafana is adding the data source. And Grafana, it has so many different data sources. So if I go here into a data source, Prometheus, Graphite, OpenTSV, InfluxDB, Loki, Elasticsearch, Jagger, SQL. I mean, from all of these places, which they are usually databases, right? Or some sort of databases, some sort of login systems, you can add them as a data source to read data and present it with your own dashboards. They are a lot of things, enterprise plugins like Wavefront or Splunk, which they're really good, or ServiceNow, MongoDB. But in this case, I just want to add InfluxDB, so that is fine. Name, I can call it InfluxDB. The query language, it will be InfluxQL, because I install InfluxDB 1.x, which might be 1.8 at the moment. So InfluxQL, the URL, I think on this case, it will be super simple, right? It will be this one, that one, and then the port, if I'm not mistaken, on the port it should be 8086. But let's take a look. Yes, 8086. So that's another TCP port that, of course, you need to open. I'm doing everything by default, not HTTPS, nothing that complex. We can probably set another live session for that. So, okay, yeah, basic auth, it's fine for me. The user was LinkedIn, and then the password was, remember, this is the user and password that we just created before. Let me see, it's not telling me about the database. It might be tell me later, or okay, server access, default with credentials, the user and the password. Oh, it might be here. So the InfluxDB details. Oh, it might be over here then. Basic auth. No, okay, yeah, I don't need basic auth at all. And then I just put my database here, and finally I put here my LinkedIn, and I put here my LinkedIn 2021 HTTP method, but probably don't do anything on here, and then save and test. Data source is working, 2 green stuff on here, save and test. Okay, that's fine. Now if I go back, I have my InfluxDB connected. It should be working because it gave me the okay on both stuff. And now if we want to check, Grafana has something amazing which is called Explore, and if we click Explore, we can see the measurements, which of course is just logging from InfluxDB, so it's taking data from there. And then, oh, you know what? We have CPU, we have ping. You remember ping? Let's take a look into the CPU already of Telegraph, and then where host is. You see the host itself, and then which field, like I don't know, the usage guest. So it's giving me some data, maybe not yet, over the last hour, over the last 30 minutes. Okay, usage guest doesn't have nothing, does have anything at all, any. Okay, it's not showing me anything. Let's remove the host, but it will be anyways. Okay, let's try then with ping. Average response. Yeah, we have 1 point on here of data, which is good. And we have the maximum response. We don't have any data over the last time. Probably if I go fill none. Oh, there you go. So it's just filtering the points, the timestamps that they do not have any data at all. And now I have it on here, and you can start doing the tag by host, add more queries if you want. For example, like probably if I go here once again into my ping, and then I go, that's the maximum response, probably minimum response, field none. And now I have a few graphics here within a few seconds. But the most important thing is we are reading data that it's in InfluxDB, because Telegraph had been sending this data from this specific configuration, which is ping. As you can see over here, maximum response and minimum response. If you want to change all of this, it's always like you just call alias, and then you here into the alias, and then you say like this is maximum response, and that should be a bit much more beautiful on the over here. So maximum response, you see that is ping mean here, and this is ping maximum response, so it is a bit better. I think that it's probably really cool. We have seen a lot of stuff today, so just to do a quick overview, we just did a quick overview of monitoring 101. We did a quick overview of what is each component, InfluxDB, Telegraph, Grafana, and then we did even a how to install from scratch on an Ubuntu 20.04, which the operating system was ready and with IP and so on, but that's probably what you will expect if you, for example, deploy a Linux on AWS or a Linux on Azure VM or Google Cloud. Everything is ready. The operating system, the IP and hostname, all of that is ready. So anyways, I just use that as an example. So with this, I hope you like this session. Once again, my apologies for all the problems on the login and on the whole invites and everything. It will be better next time. I hope you enjoyed. If that's so, please just give thumbs up. I'm waiting for your comments on here. And if you enjoyed the session and you want some specific topic in the future, just add me into your LinkedIn, send me some message, and I will be always happy to help you with anything that you have around all of this, around this whole open source topic. So without any further ado, and because it's close to 7 here, I'm going to enjoy the sun now with my family. So I hope you enjoyed the session and see you in the future, guys. Thanks. Bye.